everyone, Shikaihakan here, reporting for the festival. So, today we are back at my, base here on this game, which is the one near the Edinburgh. And today I'm going to show you how I usually tune my cars, and specifically an S1 class car. And in this case, we're going to use this R32 Skyline here. Yeah, I think this is the R32 Skyline. R32 GTR Skyline here. To show you how I usually tune the car, and especially since this is basically trying to find, not really trying to find, I just want to do something different from time to time. So this is how I usually tune my car. So hello there. And I usually check on the handling bit first for tuning. So likewise, I usually give it the Forza race tire for normal race, and I'll use the dirt tire compound if I need for rallying. That's obvious. I mean, this is for S1 class specifically, so I usually use this, but for lower class, maybe street tire or sport, depending on the class you really want to. On B class, I think I still force myself to go for rally tire for online B class rally, but for the most part, I'll use the the race tire. But on A class, I'll suggest you to go for a sport tire compound or rally tire compound. Those two are great. For the tire, those are 285. I mean, S1 class should be good around 265 to 285. Lower than 260 on S1 you'll have trouble because the lack of grip you need. So if you can go above 255 millimeters, you can go to S1. If you don't, just don't do that, because 245 is good, but only for A class as far as it can go. So in this case, since the class is quite low on B class, let's just go with this 285 millimeter tires here. The fitment, it's already pretty good, so no need to change that for now. So that's done. We'll visit trims later if we really need to. And the next thing that I do is this transmission. I usually just maxed it out because they're really useful. Even the drive line, I just keep it because it's a weight reduction. And race diff, doesn't matter what class it is. Doesn't matter what class you need. It won't increase your PI, so it's a free upgrade. So just pick it up if you don't forget to pick it up. Alright. Brakes, obviously race brakes, that's important. This is just like the usual, since we are doing a race, we should do that. Roll bars, just pick the race anti-roll bars because they are the lighter one than the others, obviously. About the roll cage, this is really dependent on what car you're going to use, because if you're going to use a more modern car, in this game at least, you don't really need a roll cage because they only add weight, because the car is already pretty rigid in the first place, so you don't really need to add the roll cage for the most part. But if you're driving an older car, like for example a Dodge Charger from 1969 or the Shelby Cobra Daytona, you should put on the roll cage because they'll increase the rigidity, and also they increase the the top speed that can be done on those older cars, because if you don't, it will suffer an aero limit thing. I don't know what to call that, to be honest. Interestingly enough, if I just put this voltage, it's already put on the biggest voltage possible. Interesting. On this car, you don't usually, well, most car you don't usually see the voltage until the race chasing for reinforcement. But okay. So anyway, we don't need this. And weight reduction, depending on what class, you will need this. But for example, if on A class, at most I'll just do the straight weight reduction, or no, even sport weight reduction depending on the car, but not the full race weight reduction if it's a higher class like this. If it's a lower class like a C class, you can get away with the race weight reduction. But since we're going to S1 class, so yeah, we're going to do that. So that's done for most of the handling part. I mean, we could add some aero kit if we really need to, but for now, I don't know if I need the what is it, the aero for this car, to be honest. But we're doing an S1 class. Usually most car, well, not all car need it, but some of this car like this Nissan obviously will need it. I mean, you can have a smaller spoiler apparently. Rocket bunny wing, it's fine, I guess. I mean, it doesn't change much of the car, so that's a good thing. And you can completely remove this. But an S1, depending on what car you're in, you probably need the aero kit like the Forza wing, or if others available, you can use the other one, like this Rocket Bunny thing, Rocket Bunny wing, because it's adjustable. Just pick the one that's adjustable. If it doesn't have the option, just go for the Forza wing. But if it's on a lower class, you can do whatever you want with this appearance of the car. But I don't recommend to use the Forza aero on A class and lower, because they only hinder the car acceleration for the most part. And additional stuff like this, you can put it on, but it adds weight, like so. It adds what is it? From 2,645 to, okay, it adds 5 pounds. So don't do that. And if you really need to, you can put this on, but it adds weight, but it reduces the drag. So yeah, just in this case I'm going to put that on since it's not that much, but this one is kind of useless, so don't add it on. So well, since I'm kind of worried about the S1, I'm just going to put on the Rocket Bunny wing because it looks a bit different, and add some downforce on the front. I mean, I could use this, but yeah, let's just put on the useful one. Now, for the power, usually it really depends. I mean, this car has an RB26, right? So it's an inline 6, so that's fine. But if you really want to go with the meta of this game, you should go for a VX swap. But yeah, a VX swap is always more powerful than an inline 6, obviously. I mean, sure, you can go with the 3.8 liter V6 in this case, but you know, I'm just going to keep the inline 6 for now. And if you really need extra grip of the car, you can go with the Rocket Bunny thing here, but I don't do that. And you can do conversion if you really need to, like maybe you don't want to drive a rear-wheel drive car, you do that, but I usually keep the drivetrain because, well, I don't want to lose all the feeling of the car. So for the engine, I usually go for the camshaft first. This is the main priority of your tune and the exhaust, because they give the most power and they also reduce some weight of the car. And then go for the valves here, the piston, because they also reduce the weight. You just prioritize the stuff that reduce the weight first and add some power. Those are really important. And then add some more power. Since we have a twin turbo, let's go full twin turbo here. Ooh, to 710 on this car. That's nice. It gets a little more interesting here. So we can go with the race engine block. This is the part where you need to choose, because some parts are better despite the fact that they add the same PI. One part can have more horsepower than the others, or has less weight. So in this case, I'm going to increase the displacement of the engine block. So we have 2 more PI here. Can we stop? Oh, we can actually. So we can go for a sport fuel system, which adds 15 horsepower. Or we can get the sport ignition. As I told you before, some parts has better power increment, so that's always good. And for the most part, race intercooler are rarely needed, in my opinion, because they does add more power, but they also add weight, just like the twin turbo. But the twin turbo has so much power in it. And well, the cooling, most of the time you don't really use this at all unless you just want to push the horsepower number. But yeah, let's just go with the sport fuel system here. Now since we're on 900, I don't need to change the rim, but if you don't reach the PI quite nicely, you can either go for the flywheel, which on the engine section from before, or go for the wheel, or the rim in this case, because they also reduce some weight, and it does reduce a lot more than the flywheel. But most of the time you want the flywheel more than the rim, because they are more functional as far as I know. And well, since we cannot increase the handling part furthermore. I mean, we can make it a bit more oversteery with this, but yeah, that's the end of that, I guess. So now we're done with the tuning, which we have lateral Gs of 2, which is pretty standard on S1 for the most part. We can now proceed to proper tuning side of things. So, right. First that you want to see is the gearing and the aero, because those are the more important bits. And aero wise, I usually try to reduce it as much as possible, because I tend to need the what is it? Why I forgot about it? Oh yeah, the top speed, because aero usually will prevent you from getting more top speed. So I usually just reduce it to minimum. But on some cases, you can get away with minimum aero on this car, since it's an S1, and it's still not enough, I guess, because it's an inline 6, huh? Right. So I stretch that on that for now, and then after that, just go increase the acceleration by 0.05 every time, because until you see a significant change on top speed, you should go on as much as possible, because while it is good for the top speed, but it won't reach that top speed easily. So most of the time you won't even see that there. So okay. Oh yeah. 4.45 is already changed so much, so let's increase it a little bit. 208. Okay, so I can only set it to 4.44 or 0.44, that's the correct term. And I'll just preset this to 1.5 and 1 because you'll see it later. So those are the current setup. So let's just go to my testing place, which is recommended by Lol Nook. Oh god, we're doing this at night and it's also raining. Right, this should be interesting. So we'll go to the Altwire. I'm not sure because it's English, but it sounds like German for some reason. I think it's Altwire. And well, Lol Nook or Nook and on YouTube, usually, well, he recommended me to start from here and test my car to Altwire speed zone. So let's see the average. Oh, it's kind of bogged down still, but it's fine, I guess. Can I see the road here, please? Okay, that's a bad line. And I can see the car is a bit understeamy because it's wet, but handling it's already good, but I'll touch on that point later. And well, now after that I done that, I should open the telemetry. You should change your setting for that. I forgot which one that does that, but you should go to the heat section and see the temperature of your tire. So currently I have 3 degrees Fahrenheit different on the front and 2 degrees Fahrenheit difference on the rear. What I'm aiming here is 1 degrees different on Fahrenheit, because that means it's the difference on the Celsius, it's less than 1 degrees. So right, so most of the time for most road cars here, usually around 1.3 on the front or 1.2 depending on the length of the car. Actually I think it's 1.2, that's the best guess, and it's probably 0.8 degrees for the rear camera. And well, it's kinda a little understeery, so I'm going to soften the car a little bit. Well, the front roll bar. So about the roll bar here real quick. For the front, if you make it stiffer on the front, you'll get more understeer. And for the rear, if you make it stiffer, you'll get more oversteer. That's the only thing that you need to know about the roll bar in this game. I don't know if that's how it works in real life, but sure. And well, there is a reason why Johnson Racing most of the time always, well, not most of the time, all the time he recommend to make the front roll bar on the softest side as possible and the rear on the stiffer side as possible, because well, that's the easiest way to make the car turn in this game. But that also means it's a bit overkill, I guess. I mean, in my case, I usually just go for between 20 to 30 for most car, but on the older car, you probably need less or more. And spring, there is a reason why it kind of bogs down here. For the spring, you really need to have more stiffer spring if you want to put more power. And in this case, since it's an all-wheel drive, try to make it somewhat similar. I mean, make a small difference like so. Should be good. And try to lower the car a little bit. I mean, I usually lower it, but I leave the difference between the front and the rear by 0.2 inch. I don't know how much that is in centimeter, but this is how I usually lift the car. The rest I usually don't really touch upon, and maybe a little bit on this, because on the heavier car, on all-wheel drive on heavier car, I usually tend to do this. So front has 25, right? and then rear has also 25, so it will increase the oversteer because the front also decelerate, so it will increase the oversteer of the car, so you can do that. But in this case, since this is a nice car and it doesn't do much understeer, I can just leave it as is, and we're doing a road race anyway, so we don't really need the deceleration. The differential, you should put the deceleration on the front if you're doing rallying on using a heavy car, like for example my old rally Bentley that used this setup right here with the 25, I think, and well, the Regalia also does that because it needs to turn. And well, the braking pressure, it really depends. If the car has a good enough brakes, you don't really need to change this. But then again, you have a different preference, so just play around with this until you found a better one. And well, here's the tips. If you easily lock up a brakes, just decrease it, like so. If you easily lock up the brakes, obviously, and if you have a hard time on stopping the car, increase the pressure. So like for example, if you have a rear-wheel drive car that only has a rear differential of 20 to 30%, for example, to lower the wheel speed, you should increase the braking force because you really need that. So now let's see how it handles, since I already tuned some part of it. Oh, the rain is also over, so let's go back to the top just by teleporting because it's the fastest way to go there. And see if the car... Oh yeah, it launched a lot better. I mean, it has enough top speed because it's above 200 miles per hour, but I don't know if that's good enough. So let's see. Yep, that's a nice launch because it has a stiffer suspension now and it doesn't understeer so far. Not sure if on the higher speed here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, this is a nice handling car actually. Oh, I still ghosted there. But now you see the temperature. Well, we still have around 3 degrees different on the front and 2 degrees different on the rear, so I still need to tune it a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. So I should decrease by 0.2, well, increase the camber by 0.2 degrees and decrease and 0.1 on the rear. So let's do that. Interesting. This is the least cambered car that I driven before. But well, it is such a nice car to drive actually. I'll make a review of this car in the future. Maybe on next week actually. But yeah, let's see if it's good enough. I mean, it's already pretty good with that setup. So maybe I should leave it at that. Yeah, launching wise, it's already so good now. Because it can reach all the power it needs easily. Oh yeah, that's good line there. Okay, that's not good from me actually, but it's still rather easy to handle actually. So that one is driver error, but okay, that's a bit too much. Well, it needs more camber on the front actually, but yeah, 1.1 apparently. So my first guess was kind of right, but yeah, negative 1.1 and negative 0.7. Yeah, that should do it. That's for sure. Now, after that, since I'm following advice, I go to here to test the top speed. this is, well, not the longest straight. I mean, you can test the top speed on the highway, but highway is an exception because it's such a long straight line. So this one is more of a realistic one, I guess, and it has uphill and downhill section, so you can see the different speed between the two. So let's see how it performs. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, that's a bad launch from me actually. And well, it accelerates really fast, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, I still use the aero kit. Okay, is that a car? No. Okay, this is actually faster than my rear-wheel drive car. 186 miles per hour on this area. Okay, that's really fast, and that's the more realistic distance for straight line in the race in this game, at least. Unless they go to the highway, then you probably need more top end. But well, that's how I tune my car, and I'll review this car a bit more. And well, expect a different livery later on because you know me, right? So yeah, that's how I tune the car. And I know I don't explain much. If you want to get a more explanation about tuning your car, you can check Hoki Hoshi channel because that's the main channel I go to see what kind of tuning for each car. Not really for each car, how I, well, for the general idea of tuning of a car. And then Nook give me some extra advice on Discord. It's been a while since I talked to him, to be honest. Maybe I should talk to him a bit more. But yeah, okay, a bit understeer there apparently. That's just part of a wheel drive problem. But yeah, that's how I tune the car.